When I work on myself, when I read things, I make little notes to myself of what I want to include in my healing, what I want to use as an affirmation, words that work. And that's what these 2 pages are, but unfortunately I didn't write down where I got it from. So these definitions I'm going to give you are not mine. I don't know who to attribute them to. Maybe Brent Phillips, but I'm not sure. So we'll just go with them and make them anonymous for right now. They're important to me because we're going into a healing ceremony, and healing is all about intention. And words get in the way because words have different meanings depending on what it is that we want to do. I remember when Jenny gave a lecture on, it was on word usage and abundance, and she mentioned that some of the things she got from the Abraham teachings were, if you had a lack consciousness and asked for abundance or were treating for abundance, you'd get an abundance of lack. So words are important, and these definitions are short and sweet in a way that you can work with. So the first one is a miracle. We all want miracles in our lives, but a miracle to me, when I read this and I'm thinking, what does a miracle mean to me? To me, a miracle is something like, Jesus walking on water. It's this big thing that's out here that changes everything in a positive way. But it's hard for me to say I expect a miracle every day of my life. For me to think that something that momentous, that would be like winning the lotto, the super lotto, so you got millions and millions and millions or something. So I always had trouble with that. I couldn't get around that word, but it was a good word. I liked that word. I kept trying to use it, but I couldn't buy into it. I couldn't believe it. But I can believe this definition. A miracle is a shift in thinking which then shifts your experience. It's something that simple. And when you think about it, a shift in my experience would be a miracle. That's like, going from cancer to wholeness. That's like loving relationships. Those are, when you think about it, the miracles that we're looking for in our daily lives. And we know as religious scientists that as we think, so it is. As we believe, so it is. That's what we create. But if you can think of a miracle as something that's possible for you, just by making a difference up here, a little shift in perception, a little shift in what you believe, a little shift in how you're doing things, are the words you're using. To me, that makes a miracle personal. I can buy into that. I could see that, and it would be, if I wanted something desperately, and I could make the shift that allowed it to happen. A new neural pathway, a new definition for a word, a new way of doing my prayer work, a new way of believing, a new way of accepting. I can handle that kind of a miracle. So when you go into the healing service today in the circle, think about that. Maybe you can handle a miracle in your life. Maybe it's okay to allow yourself to have that shift. You don't have to walk on water. You don't have to be Mother Teresa. You don't have to go out and save the world or save anything. All you have to do is allow yourself to shift your thinking just a little bit to have a miracle in your life. And we can all take those. There are things we want badly enough to buy into. You want your health. You want your family's health. You want your kids to find jobs. You want transportation. You want a job. You want friends. All of these wonderful things. But it takes something inside of us to make that happen. So let me read it again. A miracle is a shift in thinking which then shifts your experience. So we've been talking about forgiveness this month. Well, I've been working on forgiveness for years, and it came up again with Jenny got an insight today about some work I need to do on forgiving myself. But forgiveness has been hard for people. What's your definition of it? If I've been raped, can I forgive the person who did it? So do you have to forgive them? Do you forgive yourself? What does that mean? How do you forgive your parents? It's all involved, and Bob got us on the right track when he talked a couple weeks ago about the connections. Cleaning connections, having a good connection, doing that. And that's about a little shift in thinking too, a little miracle that allows you to do that. So you take your little miracle and you apply it to forgiveness. And I love this. I forget who talked about, but I know we've talked about before, not judging. That judging is how we get in the mess in the first place. How we're domesticated, how we're taught. So we have these rules that we live by, our belief system. Is it right or is it wrong? Did they do good or did they do bad? Did I do good or did I do badly? It goes on for all of us. So looking at not judging, forgiveness is looking at people with the spiritual knowledge of their innocence rather than the mortal perception of their guilt. In basic terms, that means we're connecting to the divine in everybody. I see the Christ in you, or I see the God in you, or I see the spark in you. And that's what I'm loving. That's different from behavior. I can make a mortal judgment on the behavior, and I'm going to have to work on forgiveness for that. But we want to go past that, past the behavior, past what people have done or haven't done, what we've done or haven't done. And again, clearing the connection to Source so that we are so in the moment of love, so in our connection to Source, that that's all we see when we look at everybody. We see their light, their essence, their beingness, the God in action in them that's there somewhere. For a lot of people, it's hidden away. It's a little bitty flame that's got walls around it, and they may not even know they have it. But it's there. We're all God. It's there somewhere. And if we can see it in someone and recognize it, we help make it real. We help make it manifest. We help everyone heal, because those people are our mirrors. And if we can see the divine in our mirror, we're looking at the divine in us. So, forgiveness is looking at people with the spiritual knowledge of their innocence, rather than the mortal perception of their guilt. So we take a little miracle, we're changing our thinking. We're looking at the divine. And he also says the action is that we are surrendering the aspect of the mind that is blocking divine correction. Last month when we went in the healing service, we talked about releasing blocks, letting the blocks go. But it's a partnership with Source, with God. We are allowing more of God within us, more of God's action within us. We are allowing that help. And we're surrendering all those secondary gains. We're letting go of what keeps us stuck. You look at someone that's in a nursing home, and all of a sudden the family's all there because they're going to pass. And people are praying for a miracle. But the miracle could be the healing, but the miracle also could not happen, because if the person has the miracle, they go back to the nursing home and nobody visiting, and they're lonely again. So it's easier to pass on than to live with the pain. We have all those things, why we do things, why we're attached to things, why we hold on, because it feeds something in us somehow. And we're afraid to let go of it, because to us it's a death. I am my pain. I am my victimization. We're trained to be that way. That's who we become, because our story is so big and so momentous to us, and we don't know how to get past the story. But if we connect with Source and we accept the miracle of cleaning it and changing it and knowing that we can have it and we are it, then we can start letting go of all these things, the fears, the secondary gains, all of that. Because we can accept help. We reach out our hands, but how many times do we reach out our hands in prayer or affirmation or something and our hands are closed? We want it, but we don't really want it. How's my life going to change if I get that? I get a lot of money, but do I know how to handle money? That means I got to have an attorney. That means I got to have a financial planner. I got to have a CPA. I got to pay attention to it. I got to open my mail. I got to do all these things. Do I really want money? Maybe I don't. You know? It might be too much work. So we look at all of these things. I know mine with weight. Losing weight is work. I don't know if I want to exercise that much. I don't know that I want to give up ice cream. All these things that you really got to look at and be honest about. Because it's doing something within us. It's somehow patching us up so we feel whole, even though we're not whole. We're still needy. We still have this emptiness. But what are we going to accept to get rid of the emptiness? And we got to walk through the fear. We can't cut it out and throw it away. Hey, it follows us. It's with us. It is us. It's about integrating everything back in. All my mistakes, all my learnings, all my wisdom. He had another thing. I love this. I can absorb all my losses and mistakes, learn wisdom, and move forward through new doors, openings to new opportunities, and I always prosper. I should say almost we, because we include source. And sometimes that I separates. It's an I have to do it. I have to change. I have to work this hard. When maybe it doesn't have to be that hard to do if we're accepting source. Because when you're accepting God's source, you're focused on that. You're focused so much on the love. You're focused so much on the connection and the oneness. And that in itself is a miracle. And all the other things flow away because there's no room to think about them. There's no room to have them. Excuse me. There's no room to be them. When we talk about the now and focusing on the now, that's why. Because in this moment, I'm not worrying about the past. I'm not worrying about the future. I'm just focusing on what is right now. And in that moment, I can let God's source in. I can accept that and be more. And being more shouldn't be scary. It should be glorious. I bet if we could all see our energy fields, we'd be the most beautiful thing that was going on right now. Like fairies, everything dancing and waving in these colors together. We're beauty. We're love. We are connection. So as you think about your intention today, what is that intention? What do you really want? I'm going to go in. One of my intentions is going to be that my connection is pure and strong. And that all the blocks are removed so I don't, like Jenny said, step on my hose. I don't do anything to sabotage it anymore. I want blocks removed so everything flows. I want the ability to be more, to be able to be a miracle in action. I don't like all my thoughts. I don't think anybody does. I'll be driving and go, where the hell did that come from? It's not something you're always proud of. But we have to clean. We have to sweep. I mean, every year we do spring cleaning and fall cleaning. Or we change seasons and we change the clothes. Or we do those kind of things. But in this world, we seem to have to keep doing our mind because of the world that we live in that tries to program you, that tries to titillate us, that tries to get us to buy in so they can sell things, so people can do things or prove things or that. So we have to work. There is an environmental influence. So we're constantly cleaning, constantly evolving, constantly being more. But it starts with a little step. That's why these healing services are so important. When we're all doing it together, we are big and we are powerful. And we can make a difference. And I got to tell you, after years of working with people, some